Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Hope you enjoy. What if First Contact came tomorrow? The G20 assembly is once a year. Otherwise, the majority of the world leaders do not meet unless there is a damn good reason. On July 9th, 2026, there was a damn good reason. The chairman started without much preamble. Ladies and gentlemen, we have found life on another planet. There was a shocked silence. Then, pandemonium. Who found it? What do you mean? Where were they found? Who has jurisdiction? When are we declaring war? The chairman waited for silence. When it came, he raised his voice. They were found by the Israelis, who leaked the information to the Americans. If you would please turn your attention to the screen. All eyes turned to the screen. Satellite footage was patched in. A brownish-green planet appeared. This was Ilias 7, a planet in the Bowie system. This planet was examined as containing possible potential for human life. Very little water, as you might notice. The Israeli probe, Shalosh, dropped an outer probe containing 6 robotic drones. Each one was programmed for a different purpose. This one was programmed to look for irregular patterns, but it found something else. The footage changed. The drone was rushing through a barren desert. Occasional bizarre plants leapt from the ground irregularly. Suddenly, the drone paused. There was a structure in the middle of the desert. The drone zoomed up to the structure and panned out. Multiple other structures were in surrounding area. A strange series of wooden panels faded into the distance, looking like a bizarre railroad. Suddenly, the door to one of the structures opened, and a creature stepped out. The crowd gasped. The creature was at least 8 feet tall. He was scaly, wearing primitive clothing, and had strange cords leaping out into the air. The cords appeared to be sucking on something. The chairman paused the video. For the time being, we have dubbed these species Corals. They appear to be sentient. As you can see, they are bipedal like humans. Our scientists have theorized that they may have evolved from some kind of lizard instead of apes. We believe that they can survive without water for a long time by drinking moisture directly from the air through these cords. Back to the video. The chairman pressed play. The creature seemed to notice the drone and rushed back into its shelter. It came out with some kind of primitive rifle. It fired. The drone went to static. The footage stopped. The chairman addressed the audience. We must now decide on our next move. The corridors appear to be, technologically speaking, at about where we were holding in the 1700s. However, they also seem to have some technology that we didn't have, certainly not then. That railroad is seemingly run with magnets. Gravity is about 80% of what it is on Earth. This may explain why the corridors are so tall. Originally, the chairman continued, the Americans had planned to keep this a secret, but a group of Israeli scientists threatened the entire United States of America that they would turn whistleblower if this information was not shared with the world. The president agreed and turned the information over to me. I will now take suggestions from the assembly. In what way should we make first contact? The German chancellor raised her voice. I would like to express on behalf of the entire European Union our desire to join the project for first contact. What purpose would we have for first contact? Would we be giving or taking? The Japanese prime minister answered. Presumably it would be a bit of a column A and a bit of column B. Anyway, surely after our long search to make sure that we were not alone in the universe, surely these corridors would enjoy a sign as well. The Russian leader spoke. I will ask simply, because I assume that we will beat around the bush until someone says this. Will we be waging war? Do these corridors have anything we want? If so, will we be taking it? The Ukrainian prime minister leapt up. Absolutely not. We will not be a part of some kind of new imperialism. This kind of attitude is an embarrassment to humanity as a species. The Russian president laughed. Easy for you to say. I hardly doubt Ukraine will contribute much to the international stage. Incensed, the Ukrainian prime minister said, I will not stand for this. The chairman interrupted. Before we can decide on war of any kind, I must point out something important. The Israelis were only able to send their probe a little over 5 years ago, and that was unmanned. At our current level of technology, it would take 70 years to send a manned spaceship to Ilias 7. And considering that Ilias 7 has near-Earth gravity and an atmosphere, it would be considerably more difficult for a return mission than from, say, the moon. The hubbub quieted. That was a significant detail. The Australian Prime Minister was the first to respond. So what do you propose we do, Chairman? What was the purpose of calling the secretive meeting if it was just to tell us the information that we can't act on? The Chairman smiled. It was obvious that he had been waiting for this question. Are any of you familiar with the term moonshot program? Some people nodded assent, and some had looks of confusion. Well, I will explain for the benefit of those unaware. In the 1960s, during the Cold War, America and the USSR were delved deep into space race. When the Russians were the first to send a man into space, it was a massive blow to American morale. In response, President John F. Kennedy sponsored a massive and frankly ridiculously budgeted mission to put a man on the moon. Kennedy did not live to see the results, but I am sure you know the result. The Chairman took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth. I propose a similar plan, not unlike CERN, which took a massive effort from the European nations. I propose the entire world throws its collective back into the situation. The crowd whispered to themselves. This was a lot to ask on zero warning. Now I realize this may sound insane, but I urge you to ask yourself, why have we looked to the stars? So many of us have asked this over the generations. Even when Mr. Kennedy was trying to reach the moon, there were those saying, surely this money could be better spent on medicine or poverty than to be spent on some useless rock millions of miles away. And certainly, some of them had a point, but they failed to see one crucial thing. We do not look to the stars so that we may have them. We do not reach for the stars so that we may own them. We reach for the stars so that we can reach even further. Is that not the furthest ambition of mankind? We explored our planet. We climbed the highest mountains, crossed the wildest seas, ventured into the most untamed wilderness. We mapped out our entire world. But were we satisfied? No! We wanted more. Always the next journey. Always the next horizon. That was why we went to the moon, to prove that we were not done. And I ask you now, the greatest undertaking mankind has ever faced stares at us now. Will we allow petty arguments and monetary squabbling to stop us from succeeding? Will we sit on our laurels and say that we have achieved enough, that there is no need to reach further? No! We were never finished. We will never rest. We will not stop until the human race has achieved all there is to achieve. The Chairman lapsed into silence, spent and hoarse. There was a momentary pause, then applause. Quiet at first, getting louder and louder as it spread around the room. There was some cheering. It was most undignified. The Chairman smiled. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of planet Earth, I now put forward a motion to begin a United Earth project, to join our forces to achieve a common greatness. This project will be to one day send and return our people to and from this world. I beg you to let us step into our future and begin our next great journey, together as one species. The motion passed 76 to 13 to 0. That was just the beginning, of course. There was a lot more deliberation, for no good thing ever came easy. The story was given to the press and confirmed as real. Some nations backed out, and some made demands, and some refused to oblige. It took months before any actual action was taken. But slowly and surely, the United Earth project came to pass. The moonshot program, dubbed Operation Prometheus, began. And the first order of business was to send a message ahead of the landing party. The Israelis, first to find Ilias 7, were chosen to lead the charge, but it was a group effort. About 6 years later, a series of canisters were launched into Ilias 7's atmosphere. The canisters were wellies, because someone at NASA was a War of Worlds fan, and the name stuck. These wellies were carefully dropped from a satellite in orbit around the planet. The satellite had been dubbed Sagan 1. The idea for launching was simple. Near corridor settlements, but not actually in them. It would not be a good introduction for humanity if a welly fell out of the sky and crushed a child. After landing, the wellies unscrewed themselves. If a corridor would care to look inside, they would find a wealth of information. They would find the written alphabets of 100 human nations. They would find pictures of humans, Earth, Ilias 7, technology, and the corridors themselves. They would find devices with recordings of human language. They would find instructions on how to convey information back to the humans. And most importantly, they would find a message. This message would read as thus. Occupants of this world, we extend our humblest of greetings. We are from another world far off in the sky. For a long time, we have searched for our others, and now we have found you. We hope that you are not alarmed by this message. We realize that this may come as a shock to the majority of your species. We assure you that your existence came as a shock to our species as well. We wish to tell you something of the utmost importance. We will soon be sending some of our species to come visit your world. They will come in an iron ship from the sky. We do not know when, and we do not know how many. We will send more messengers in the future. But we implore you to understand one thing with utmost sincerity. We wish to come in peace. We hope you understand this and choose to accept us in peace as well. Maybe they would indeed accept the humans in peace. If they didn't, well, there were 12 nukes on board the Sagan 1. In the event of disaster, the Parabellum Plan would activate. Under the auspice of the Parabellum Plan, the first 3 nukes were to be dropped in deserts as a warning. The next 9 were to be used when the time for warnings was over. This was not included in the information in the wellies. Perhaps the corridors would decipher this information, and perhaps they wouldn't. Perhaps they would accept the incoming explorers with open arms, or perhaps with blazing weapons. Perhaps this was the dawn of a golden age, and perhaps an age of darkness. But all that we can do is try. The rest of it is for the future to decide. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Lord Azrakal, Dragzoon WRE, Holly Sister, Ambrose Cattell, and Quantum Wednesday. Thank you very much.